Hello guys, how are you doing? So today we are going to talk about language learning as always, but the topic is motivation, okay? So let's get started. Motivation is the most important thing in our life. In each activity what we do, we always need motivation, even when we work. If you work in your job, you need a motivation to work. Without it, without good salary, what motivates you, or without the routine that motivates you, you won't do your work as quality as you can. Okay, so you won't do good job. So that's why you need a motivation. Even if you do sport, if you're boxing or if you're running, so you always need a motivation to achieve something. And even in language learning, we need motivation to learn a language. Without a proper motivation, you just stop doing something, stop learning languages, for example. Yes, without good motivation. So, motivation is defined as a thoughts that leads us to achieve something. Okay, it's actually in our psychology. Okay, it's motivation is the feelings and thoughts that drive us to do something, that force us to do something. So that's why we need a motivation. There are a lot of researches about motivation, and also on YouTube you can find a lot of motivational videos. Always Rocky Balboa who is boxing, yes. Always we watch some sportsmen who are doing some things, yeah. So that motivate us, or about successful people who how they succeed in their activity. So that things are always motivate us. So motivation is always important in language learning. However, there are 4 types of motivation that I discovered recently. So the first one is extrinsic motivation. Okay, extrinsic motivation, which is outside factor that motivates you. For example, you need to get some certain grade for your subject, for your English subject, for your Spanish subject. You need to get some certain good grade, so that's why you learn the language. Or you want to get some award, yes, and something like that, which is comes outside. Or you need to pass exam. For example, you have the exam for your German subject and you need to pass it, so that's why you learn it in order to pass it. That's the extrinsic motivation. Second type is intrinsic motivation. So intrinsic motivation is that comes from comes inside of you. Okay, intrinsic motivation, it lives inside you. For example, just pure love for language, or you watch some TV show or maybe TV series, and that motivates you to learn that language. You love the music, you love the culture of that nation, so that's why you start learning their language. So that's the intrinsic motivation, which is pure love for the languages. So the third type of motivation is integrative motivation. Okay, integrative motivation, it's the third type of motivation. What does it mean, integrative? Which means that you need to, for example, travel to one country, or you want to travel that country. For example, you want to visit Italy, so you start learning Italian in order to be part of that group, in order to integrate that society, okay, to feel yourself okay in that society, to communicate with the people, so to make easier your life, to make more comfortable. So that's why you start learning that language. Or you just want to move to USA, you want to get green card, something like that, you want to integrate in that culture, so that's why you start learning the language. Or maybe mainly it's the job factor, for example, or maybe you want to just work in Germany, so that's why you start learning Deutsch, yes. That's the integrative motivation, when you start learning the language in order to be part of that society, in order to integrate. Okay, like maybe you have some girlfriend or boyfriend who is from another country, and you start learning his or her language in order to get married and live in their countries. So that's the integrative motivation. And the last one, the fourth type of the motivation, is instrumental motivation. Instrumental motivation is just based on your need, and you need, for example, get some practical and concrete results from the language. For example, maybe you just want to work in somewhere and you need to learn language in order to work. For example, you are seller, yeah, you need to trade with China and you start learning Chinese or something like that. So instrumental motivation, you learn the language as an instrument. You use it as a tool. Yes, you need it because your job. Or for example, maybe you are a substitute student and you have kind of how to say that, exchange programs. Yes, and you just go to one semester. For example, for you go to France and you just study there for 6 months, one semester. Yeah, so you need to learn French in order to study in French universities. So that's the instrumental motivation, when you need the language just to get some practical results, okay, concrete results. So there are 4 types of motivation in language learning. I'm not talking about other spheres. I'm just talking about language learning. So there are 4 types of motivation. So you decide what kind of motivation you have to learn some foreign language, and please write down comments about your motivation to learn the languages. And actually, one can have several types of motivation at once, because, for example, in my case, mainly I started learning, for example, Spanish because instrumental, because I had it was kind of extrinsic motivation because I had the subject in my university, so I wanted to speak Spanish good in order to get good grades. So then that extrinsic motivation turned into intrinsic motivation, where I started really loving the culture of that language. So I love whole the Latin American culture. I love the Spanish culture, movies, the songs, and etc. So I started loving the language itself. But it started with extrinsic motivation, and then it turned into intrinsic one. With English also, I started learning English because I just needed that language in order to study in my university, because all of my subjects were in English. I started in English group, so that's why I needed English as an instrumental. That was, I think, instrumental motivation in order to study in the university. So now I work as an English teacher. I make videos in English, so that's why I also need it. And now I love the English language also. And maybe German. Yes, German I started also. Now I'm studying my master degree, so there is a subject as a German, so I need to learn German. But mainly I started learning German because I love that language also. I really like it before, and now I have opportunity to learn it. And yes, so that's are my motivations. And I think, as all language lovers, I just love language learning. I love the process itself. I love discovering new cultures. I love when my brain learns something new, when you discover something. So that's why I always learn languages, and I will be learning languages. I will continue to do this thing, and I will share with you with my knowledge that I have accumulated during the years. So thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe, and see you in next video. Bye.